Welcome back, my friends. So today's topic is one that I am pretty damn passionate about, and that has to do with placing blame on forms of entertainment for civilization's woes, for your problems, for the way your child acts, right? We've talked a lot about this in the past, and I'm sure you could see this article we're going to be discussing, but this stuff has drove me nuts. Throughout human civilization, look at the history of things: music, movies, video games, comic books, regular books. Everything is spoiling our children and making them monsters, right? It's screwing them up. We got to place blame on all these things. I don't get it, never have, never will. Not that long ago, the WHO, the World Health Organization, not the band, these guys declared gaming disorder an illness. So they classified it as an illness. And my main problem with that, and I've stated this in the past, is that there is an underlying issue to addiction with these types of things. They're looking for an escape. They're trying to cope with whatever that situation is, right? How do you treat gaming disorder? That's where I don't understand this. If you're saying gaming disorder is an illness, how do you treat that if you're looking at that as the problem? Are they treating the underlying issue? If they're treating the underlying issue, then why would you classify gaming disorder as an illness? That never made sense to me. Like, what do? Do you take the person who's addicted to games, you take the games away from them? Because that doesn't solve anything. You take something away from somebody who's addicted to something, they will transfer that addiction to something else. That's just the way it is. Like gaming disorder, you strap them up and, bust their eyes open, clamp their eyes open, Clockwork Orange style, and just like flash images of freaking unicorns and rainbows out the ass at them until they're better. Like, how do you treat that? It makes zero sense to me, right? So with this article, we're going to be going through this, and we have the actual research study right here. I'll put links in the description because there's tons of information in here in case you want to look over it, but mostly I just want to comment on some of this stuff. So there has been academic research that finds no evidence of gaming as a clinical disorder. I didn't realize it would have to take academic research to figure this stuff out, but hey, they had to do it, right? Dysfunctional gaming habits are most likely the result of external pressures and deeper psychological issues, according to a recent study from the Oxford Internet Institute. Based on data from over 1,000 teenagers and their caregivers, study found that individuals preoccupied with excessive gaming were likely using the hobby as a refuge rather than being negatively affected by it. Haven't most of us with a brain with some common sense been saying this? Like, I already know there's going to be people who go against what I have to say in the comment section. I already know that it happens every time. But hey, I'm open for, taking other people's opinions or views on things. But with this one, I just can't see it in most cases. It's used as an escape. If you're addicted, like these fools that wanted to sue Epic over their lives being ruined over Fortnite. Like, that's the most ridiculous thing ever. The parents are to blame for their kids being preoccupied with their whole life playing a frickin' game, right? What's Fortnite? As Lady Gaga would say, right? Jeez, like, what's wrong with people? We want to place blame. That's all these things are, used as blame placers. Like, I've known people like this. Not that necessarily, blame games, but they blame everything but themselves. You guys know people like that. You can't accept your own shortcomings. You can't accept, and it's not always shortcomings. I don't mean it that way, because it can be other disorders or other issues. There could be other things that we have to be sensitive to. But in the grand scheme of things, it's the people who are blaming others for this instead of looking at what the situation really is with the people who are having a problem, who have an addiction to something. Like, those are the people that are just, they baffle me. Because they're the ones that, they want to stub their toe on something. They're going to blame that the frickin' curb was right there instead of that they weren't paying attention type of thing, right? Like, it's just ridiculous. There's crazy people in the world. I mean, it's shocker, right? Jeez. The study investigating the motivational and psychological dynamics of dysregulated gaming comes in response to the WHO's decision earlier to classify gaming disorder as a disease. Professor Andrew, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, director of research at the Oxford Institute and co-author of the study, said previous research into this subject has failed to examine the wider context of what's going on in these young people's lives. This is something we seek to address with our new study. For the first time, we apply motivational theory and open science principles to investigate if psychological need satisfactions and frustrations in adolescents' daily lives are linked to dysregulated or obsessive gaming engagement. The study found no evidence suggesting that excessive gaming leads to substantial emotional, peer, or behavioral problems. In fact, researchers concluded that gaming habits are more likely reflective of whether basic psychological needs are being met or if there are wider functioning issues. In their research, they're looking at things like, kids being denied social interactions, things like that, having abusive, interactions at home or outside, outside of the home. They're looking at all sorts of different aspects that would create a child to, or anybody really. But yeah, the focus is more teenagers. But looking at a kid, escaping and being addicted to games, there's that underlying issue. That's what it comes down to. Do you just you expose a kid, here's some video games. Do they just become addicted to it? There's different levels of addiction. It's with a disorder. They're looking at you could all say you're addicted to games. I could say I'm addicted to games in a sense, right? But with a disorder, with something, that's substantial, what it really is that your life is being impacted by it, right? You're not doing things you should be doing. You're not taking care of yourself, not others, whoever, if you have responsibilities, they're not being met. Kids are, getting worse grades because they're not studying. They're not doing their homework. They're having, non-respectful interactions with their parents type of thing. And it's just all underlying issues to deal with that. Parents need to take care of their kids, make sure that these kind of things aren't happening, right? Some things are kind of inescapable. You can't escape certain situations in life. It sucks, but I still feel very adamant that gaming as a disorder doesn't make sense to me, because they could be like, well, I'm addicted to chewing on this freaking screwdriver, right? So now I have screwdriver chewing disorder or something stupid, right? So now we need to investigate, do you take away the screwdriver from me because I'm chewing on it? I don't know. It's weird. I can't think of good examples with that because it doesn't make any damn sense to me. If I was constantly chewing on this, for some reason, there's something deeper going on. For whatever reason, if I can't get this thing out of my mouth, I'm craving a screwdriver in my mouth every 2 seconds. I have a deeper issue than the freaking screwdriver, because why is it the screwdriver I'm chewing on? The same damn thing with being addicted to games. This is affecting my life. I can't get shit done because I'm chewing on a screwdriver. Identify what the problem is. Don't take away the screwdriver. You identify the problem, get, proper treatment for it. I'm gonna stop chewing on that screwdriver, right? Maybe not. I don't know. This stuff just drives me nuts. In light of our findings, we do not believe sufficient evidence exists to warrant thinking about gaming as a clinical disorder in its own right. Its own right. It's just a symptom of some other issue. How many times can I say it? But I'm glad these guys did, this study and found, some scientific basis to say that, no, this isn't a disorder. It's a symptom of other things, right? That's the biggest thing that I've been saying. Can it be an issue? Kids being addicted to games? Yes, it can be an issue. It can affect their lives. It can affect plenty of things, but it's not the game's fault. That's the problem, is that people will continually look to stuff like this and place the blame on games. Sure, there's a lot of bullshit going on with video games, loot boxes, gambling, things within games. There's tons of stuff to be mad about. But games in general, no. It's not the problem. There's other issues. Either the parents don't give a crap or the kid's trying to escape for some reason. You let your kids do whatever the hell they want. If you have a pantry full of Reese's peanut butter cups and Starbursts or something, like nothing else, right? And you just give your kid free will to go in there and take whenever they want, they're going to take all that shit. They're going to constantly eat it, because what kid has any kind of self-regulation, what kid can say, they might get sick to a point and then stop, but they're going to get to that point where they got themselves sick, because a lot of kids aren't going to have within them to say, oh, you know what, this isn't good for me. Maybe 1 or 2 is fine. You give kids what they want, what they crave, what plants crave. they're just going to keep taking and taking and taking. They're going to keep getting away with it because you don't care. You gave them access. It's just going to continually happen. You give them access to games and there's no restriction on it. Yeah, they're going to go crazy with it. It's just the way it is. But yeah, if you guys want to take a look at this clinical psychological science, they do go over all their methods, how the research was done. It's a lot of interesting stuff here. How they reviewed everything and all their hypotheses and stuff like that. It's an interesting read. It's not necessarily, you don't have to be a scientist to understand what they're saying. It makes sense. A lot of this makes sense to me. The results that they attained from doing this study here. So really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I know my opinions aren't always popular with everyone, but hey, let me know what you think. It's good, man. Really do appreciate you guys. With that said, I will catch y'all next time. Peace out, bye-bye, and boom. Boy.